Hello and welcome to Connect to Love here on PRN-FM, where each week we explore the profound connection of all things. I'm Lisa Rose and I'm joined by the amazing Michael J. Russ for another exciting episode where we focus on love, oneness, and of course the human spirit. And I want to say welcome, Michael. It is an incredible week thus far, and I'm so excited to join you on another adventure.
Me too. I'm happy to be here, and I always love the adventures we have together. It's a pleasure.
It is true.
Yeah,
it is so true. Yeah, and it wasn't too long ago that we were speaking about surrender and how to find peace amidst the chaos and embracing the flow state and really reclaiming our joy. And sure enough, each one of us are tested at different times. And I have been, I guess, in the midst of one of those times where you have to shift your mindset from where you are and all the appearances of what's going on to something else and stay as optimistic as possible. And that's what I said to a friend of mine. I've been without power, and I said, well, I just have to be optimistic. And she said, well, you're always optimistic. Do something new. And I thought, well, I guess you're right. I try to be optimistic in whatever it is that the life brings me. So I'm grateful for that, and I know that you are as well, Michael. We're so excited that you're joining us because Michael gave me the fantastic idea for this episode. Today we're diving into a perspective shift that can transform your entire experience of life. The empowering truth that life isn't happening to you, it's happening for you. And I, of course, interpreted that in my own way. It's all about flexibility, how to bend and not break. And saw these beautiful oak trees, these big, massive trees that just got uprooted by this storm. And it's amazing. They have such deep roots, and they can just be pulled out of the ground. And it's a beautiful tree that is right near the library, and I was uprooted, and I just felt so sad. I thought I've got to take some cuttings and see if I can root them and have them become something else. And I think, Michael, I so appreciate it because not only do you empower me each week, but I think that you empower the listeners to shift perspective from that victim mentality to aligning themselves and aligning myself and exploring that each one of life's events that happen are really designed for our growth and our expansion and as well as our awakening. And I think that it makes us more resilient, and we just have to really trust through whatever it is that's unfolding. So I want to thank you for that beautiful reminder you gave me yesterday.
You're welcome. I just want to say, sometimes we do need a little assistance from people that are resonating at our same frequency to, just have around us positive people to remind us when we go down that rabbit hole of drama and things that are occurring that are beyond our control, that when we're focused on those things that are beyond our control. And this is, your situation is a perfect example with, no power. It's that kind of thing is way out of your hands, way out of your wheelhouse. And so it's a reminder that it's how we respond to things that really matter, that really create our life experience, and not just responding, not just immediately diving into the victim consciousness. And that's not what you do. And, you and I are here hosting this show, Connect to Love, on PRN-FM, and we are just human, just like our listeners. We're human.
Absolutely.
We experience things, and things that are beyond our control. This is a great example, again, of how to respond in a positive way so that we continue to maintain the love in our hearts, continue to put out, to generate love, generate joy, generate excitement and passion, and continue to put that out to the world. Because, when 400,000 people are out of power, that's a lot of negativity that can be generated in your area, just in your area. And it's not going to get things done more quickly. And what if 400,000 people decided, we're going to be positive about this. We're going to be optimistic. We're going to get together with our neighbor and share what we have because, stores are closed, because the roads are jacked up, they're jammed up, and we're not able to go to the store. We're not able to. So this is a time when neighbors can and people can come together and create a positive outcome take people's minds off the victim consciousness, off being victims of the storm, victims of the whatever. And it falls right into the topic of today, which is life happens for you and not to you.
Yes, absolutely.
We constantly are in a when things happen like this, especially when Mother Nature's got a little hiccup, right? And it comes rolling through, and it disrupts the things that we all take for granted: power, light,
internet,
air conditioning, heating,
right.
air, the internet, all those things that we I'm just going to get on the internet, we'll go do this. What if you work
right.
from home? You don't have the internet, you don't have any power, right? So these things can happen, and it's a reminder that, hey, maybe this is happening so that we can all take a breather, take a breath, and drop the drama of life that has been weighing us down, and do some meditation, do some relaxation, some breathing, do some Tai Chi, some Qigong, read a book that you've been really to read throughout the day. If you can't work, don't lament about it, because lamenting about it isn't going to give yourself the ability to work. Only power will do that. Get together with your neighbor and say, what have you got? Let's combine and I've got a grill. Some things are thawing out in the refrigerator. Let's grill some things so it doesn't go to waste. I mean, there's all kinds of opportunities.
Yeah, that's what my friend did. She made her eggs and bacon this morning on her grill. She said, I'm just going to cook it outside because she got the charcoal grill fired up and she was all set.
Yeah,
and
fantastic.
She was making the best of it. Mm-hmm.
It's camping.
And you know what? It's warm weather. I mean, I thought to myself, if a storm like this happened in the winter and people were without power, it would really be a lot more devastating. It's spring anyway, and the kids, I've just taken so much delight because school is canceled, and they were outside playing with each other. Guess what? They didn't have any devices in their hands because there wasn't anything to power them, and they were interacting, and they were having so much fun. And it was so great for me. And my neighbor who had a tree come down and take out her chimney, when the tree went into the roof of her house and the chimney and part of the tree came down on her car, she was able to start it up today. So she needs a new windshield and she needs a new sunroof, but really she's very lucky because the damage was really minimal and the car's operational. She was pretty worried about the dashboard and everything, but you count your blessings. And she was saying, she said, I've never seen the trees bend so much. And she said, I thought that they were going to break, a lot of them. And then I started thinking about that. I thought, wow, these trees are really incredible. They're just here for us, and they protect us, they shade us. They're just as vulnerable as we are. And so interesting, Michael, because I have these different decks, and of course, the card that I picked today was flexibility. So I think that's where I had this idea of flexibility. And one of the things in flexibility, they talked about how bamboo goes back to like 8,000 BC, which I thought was really interesting, and that bamboo will continue to grow, and it doesn't matter. Roots it says it goes up to, I think, 35 inches a day it grows, and that it always bends. It doesn't break. It'll just go. And I thought, wow, this is exactly what Michael's talking about. What if everything in your life has been guiding you home to yourself? Life is not happening to you. It's happening for you. And that bamboo plant and those oak trees are a symbol of graceful strength, resilience, and flexibility.
That's true. Things bend and don't break. And bamboo is a phenomenon. I mean, there are many different varieties of bamboo, different thicknesses, and some can grow where I am here, and some cannot because we have a frost situation. In the winter, that can impact the bamboo in a negative way. But most of it is really, there's hardy varieties. Indonesia and the bamboo over there was used for all kinds of things, from scaffolding to building to homes, to making patios and all kinds of things. And it's got this resilience to it that is, you just live in awe of.
Truly. And it doesn't fight the storm. It just flows, and then eventually it comes back upright. And I thought it's so interesting because any of life's challenges, it's just like they're passing storms. And you just have to go with it. And I think the more that we resist, and as you said, if 400,000 people were up in arms and creating difficulty, I think most people have been pretty understanding. And we just adapt. I think that that's exactly how we keep our roots strong. We just adapt, whatever it is. If I have to stay optimistic, I'll stay optimistic.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. I mean, you just look for, I don't know, it's sort of like, wow, I've been really wanting to read that book. I've been really wanting to listen to my playlist. I've been really wanting to, dance around the house, and I just haven't taken the time, and I can do that now. Well, you've got a phone. Luckily, you've got cell service because you're talking to us now. And with that, if you've got a playlist on your phone from Spotify or Apple Music or whatever, Google Music or TikTok or Wood Radio, whatever it may be, you can listen to some things and engage in other activities that you wouldn't have had time for because you'd be at work or you'd be somewhere else. I mean, even if you've got kids, you can hang out with them and do some things that you wouldn't ordinarily do. I mean, we all have habits that we engage in on a daily basis, and when these disruptions occur in weather patterns and they impact, our electricity and kind of throw our whole schedule off, it's just, take out the second list of things that you can do in those circumstances. Daytime, you got light, you can play some card games, you can put together a puzzle in the daytime, there's a lot of things that you can do. And
I know, and people get creative, and I love that, Michael, because you always say, it's like, what's this teaching me? And another friend of mine said, well, he said he didn't have any lights, but he took all the solar lights that were in his yard, and he brought them inside. He goes, I had lots of light. And then he just put them outside in the yard in the morning, and then he charged up. I thought, wow. He said, yeah. He goes, I'm going to go back and buy some more. I said, yeah. He said that he's a prepper. He always has like. He said there were things that he never thought of that he needed. He said, oh my gosh, I never thought I needed that. I said,
think about that for people who camp, right? They're out buying specialty camp stuff when there's light, right? When there's yard lighting that they just pack up and take with them, right?
I thought it was so smart.
It is true. It is true. The bottom line here, in my view, is that we just have to shift. We always have to, when these things happen, we have to make sure that we have positive perceptions of ourselves and the situation. And when we do that, then the inspiration and creativity, we listen to our intuition, that can come through. Our inspiration and creativity can come through, and we intuit these things that we can do instead of being focused, because negativity raises walls around you where you can't hear anything. You can't, if your guides are talking to you, you're not able to listen, because your heavy emotions put you in a prison, put you in a cell, 4 walls, and that prevents you from actually receiving guidance. It prevents you from being able to intuit creative things. So it's the one reason why you want to calm down in order to solve a problem, in order to solve a challenge, get through a challenge. You want to be calm doing it, because being in an emotional state just robs you of your ability to get through it.
Mm-hmm. So I have a question for you, Michael. In your life, were there moments where some people may have perceived it as a setback, but it actually shaped you for the better? There's just a moment in time where somebody might have said, oh, well, that's a setback, and instead it became one of the best things that ever happened. And as your metaphor for life isn't happening to you, it's happening for you.
Ton of them. I had this job once where I was fully in charge of, it was a sales and marketing job, and I made a mistake, and all the income commission that I had made for 2 weeks prior evaporated.
Oh, my.
Evaporated. Yeah, the mistake cost me that much money, and it was a lot of money, too. And I was like, I was cruising through. I was having a great month. And then all of a sudden it all evaporated because I just made one little error. And I said, okay, all right, I can start all over again, and I can do this. And I turned around and made that money back in 2 weeks. So the lesson there for me was not to make that mistake again, number one. And number two, the lesson was that if I maintain a positive attitude, anything is possible. I mean, I could have sat around and just complained about it. I didn't. I know that this is happening to me so that I can show that belief in myself, having confidence in myself, and having a positive attitude can actually manifest exactly what it is that I need when I need it. And that's what happened. So, I mean, my gosh, let's see. I've been through many hurricanes. I've been through typhoons in the middle of the ocean, Pacific Ocean. I've been through a lot of different things that, climate-wise. In terms of, I've had two divorces. Both of them I was at this epicenter of. I created them. And so it wasn't like, I couldn't call myself a victim because I actually created the circumstance. It was moving through it that became the challenge and getting to the other side. I mean, let's just face it, I've had 3 of my best friends from high school. They're all dead now. They passed away. I don't have any of my oldest friends, close friends, left. They passed away. So when that was happening, it reinforced to me the value of paying attention to your health, to your own health. And that was the lesson, that was the message out of both of those passings, because both of them did not pay attention to what was going on. They had their own reasoning. Their souls had their own reasoning for going through that experience. For me, as an outsider, I just saw it as a validation that what I've been doing for 20 years or 30 years would move me more forward than backwards. And so we can think of dozens of these things, and I'm caregiving for my mother right now for a month. She's 96 years old, and I have the pleasure, the joy of caregiving for her and doing everything for her and helping her out. And she is she's a very special woman in my life, and I definitely I don't see what I'm doing for her, helping her get undressed and dressed and helping her shower and do all the caregiving things that you do, helping her get in and out of chairs, get in and out of cars. We just went to Biloxi, Mississippi. She had her own hotel room, and I was there to take care of her to make sure that she was comfortable. And we were out, and I was pushing her around in a wheelchair. I see that as just pure joy.
It's a beautiful gift.
Yeah,
truly.
And there were a lot of people who actually recognized that, who came up to us and said, "Wow, I remember my mother. We used to do that." And I'm going, thank you so much for that, the blessing, But I know a lot of people that would consider that a chore, that would consider that an inconvenience, right? And I told somebody the other day, listen, your mom, your father, they take care of you. They take care of you when you're little. They make sure that you have what you need. You sleep a lot, and they're there to get you up and get you going, get you rolling. And when you get to my mother's age, it's the reverse. Now you're the one helping them. They're the ones sleeping 14, 15 hours a day.
I always think of that movie Benjamin Button with Brad Pitt was in.
Right.
It was, oh my gosh, that movie! I can't watch it without crying, and it's just so poignant. And there was just one. I know I'm sad. I can't help it. But there was a time in him, and I don't remember the actress who played with him in that movie, but that they were the same age, and then they went the opposite direction, where she aged and he kept getting younger and younger and younger, and then she cared for him as an infant. I mean, I just thought the whole movie was so brilliant. But
premise.
As you said, you have that opportunity, and I think in life everybody has the opportunity to be the teacher. Everybody has the opportunity to be the student. And I think back to some of the things that were really comical as you were sharing, the things that seemed to be at the time perhaps an obstacle that changed your world. I was thinking about the first time that I ever laid ceramic tile, and I had a boyfriend that was helping me, and I don't know, he had some sort of a bee in his bonnet, and he's like, just put the screws in everywhere there's an X. I was like, okay. So I'm using my screw gun, and I put them in everywhere there's an X, everywhere there's an X. Well, guess what? There was a pipe. And I put a screw. There was an X where there was a pipe. And I put the screw in, and then the next thing you know, we're hurrying up to get the screws out because I have water coming up everywhere. And I laugh about it now. At the time, it's just turn off the water, get a plumber, and get the pipe fixed. Whatever else, pull up the floorboards. It was a lesson learned. But I look at that floor that I put in myself, and was proud of it. I was proud of it. I had achieved something that was not in my skill set. So, and I think sometimes when we are learning something new, that's how we grow. I mean, you have to sometimes make mistakes. And when you do, you understand that you're not a victim of whatever the experience was. You just reframe that. And then you anchor yourself into a higher vibration. And I love that we're so fortunate because we have access to the teachings of Bashar and the teachers and Abraham Hicks. And I always think back, Bashar would say, your circumstances are neutral. It's your belief system that gives them meaning. And it speaks volumes to me. And as I know it does you, Michael, because even though there is down trees and no electricity, people have been very lovely. And everybody's in the same boat. I mean, there's very few people that aren't experiencing some sort of a challenge. And I don't know. I think in some ways when we have hardship in a community, it makes people kinder. And then you think, well, why does it have to wait for hardship? Why can't we just all be kinder all the time? Like me, being optimistic all the time. And I was very grateful to learn that.
Thank you for sharing that. That's, we have, I like to look at this in different ways. You have the little things, and then you have the really big things. And none of those things, anything happening outside of you is really rarely in your control and within your ability to control them. And so you have to resort to understanding that one of the best perceptions that you can ever adopt is that it's happening for you. It's just one of the most amazing perceptions. It should shift everything for you. I know it does for me. I know it does for you. And that the more you practice perceiving things that happen outside of you as happening for you, the better your life is going to be. The happier, the more joyful you're going to be, the more loving you're going to be, the more you can maintain those, have those feelings more consistently, and that's really the thing. Maintaining positive perceptions is one of the biggest choices that you have throughout your day. From the moment you get up, you have to have establishing a positive perception of the day, regardless of what the weather is. Regardless, the power goes out the night before, it's still out. We were without power during after Hurricane Michael for 4 days. So the whole community kind of came together. We were cleaning up our properties. We were removing trees. We were checking on neighbors. I was making gas runs to get fuel for generators. And we were running to get food, running to places that had power, cities that had power to get food. And we did the best that we could, and there were some people across the bridge in Panama City who had no, and further points to the east that had no power for like 3 or 4 weeks. Just imagine, everything in your freezer, if you don't cook it, it's going to rot. I mean, there's all kinds of, that's just one level of things, right? And if you've got a family, you've got kids, you've got your life, you're thrust back into the dark ages of no power, no light, no energy, right? So you have to think of different ways to do things. And that can be a joy or it can be a pain for you, depending on which one you want to choose. and there are plenty of people who will choose the it's a pain, it's drama, it's chaos, it's and all of that. And those are nothing more than perceptions. You perceive it as chaos, you'll get chaos. You'll get all that experience of chaos. And if you see it as just something that happened, right, just an event, and you decide that you're going to make lemonade out of it, and you're going to be joyful about it, you're going to process the event with love, and that's the way that you're going to see it and live through it, then your life is going to be completely different, and the stress won't be there. The stress will definitely not be there, and everybody will come together, and that's what happened. This whole street came together, and it supersedes politics, economics. It supersedes everything. The coming together, the connection is what created the joy and at that particular time. And believe me, there are some ideological differences on the street I live on, but everybody came together and they said, that wasn't. Those ideological differences can exist when everything is quote unquote perfect in your life, and you've got nothing to think about, but something negative. But when need occurs, when everybody needs to come together to help one another, all that dissipates. It's gone. And I know that's happening in many places around the world where there's some challenges at this particular point in time with war and civil war, strife, political differences, upheavals of some kind or another, and even weather, like you're experiencing. It's just, again, it's always choice. Those are the big things. The little things, the day-to-day stuff, when your kid is, you want to be somewhere and your child is throwing a tantrum, when they need to be somewhere and they're not ready and you're not ready and things aren't coming together in sync, those are the times when you really have to be particular about and aware of the perceptions that you yourself are choosing. That those things. That's when this is happening for me comment. Posture with regard to perception can really, really benefit you. And those are the things that most people forget about. They'll go off on a tantrum for 5 or 10 minutes and really miss the point of why the thing actually occurred for them.
That's very true. Very true. I think it's all in how we perceive. And we talk about perception a lot. And I tend to see things most of the time as a blessing, and it's a redirect. Sometimes the things that we think that we want, and it doesn't happen the way that we expect it, we can have a door that will open up that will be so many times better or beyond our wildest dreams. And I think that it's sort of like that in life, that when we have these moments that sort of they kind of gently move us from that place of resistance to a place of relief or relaxation. And when that doorway gets blocked, I had a wonderful event this past weekend, and it was art all night, and it's a 24-hour art event. And it was so interesting because you get to see all of these different people and their ideas, and there's so many creative individuals, and it's truly how everybody perceives life. Like somebody made a barrel of monkeys, and they were larger than life barrel of monkeys that kind of like came out. And another person took this beautiful book and she made it like a tree, and she took each one of the pages and she made them leaves on the tree. It's how somebody else views life. And then there was somebody else. I had to laugh because instead of it being the Last Supper, they had it be the first breakfast, and they had a little character. It was Captain Crunch was at the head of the table, and like the Rice Krispies and Dig 'em and all of these other cereal boxes were the apostles on the other side, and first breakfast was donuts and a couple other things that probably were very But you know what? I never looked at the world like that. Like if we had the Last Supper, that maybe we should have the first breakfast. And there were just so many interesting pieces of art, and it's how people see and perceive the world. And what was so fun was they had a room that was just a blank canvas, so that everything was painted white. It was a white chair and a white couch and white blankets, and they painted the vacuum cleaner white. And they had all of these markers, and they just let the kids go to town. And they could color every single surface. And by the end of the show, there wasn't one part that wasn't covered. But every little mark that each person made was unique. It was, and I had such a great time looking at it. And somebody wrote on the couch at the bottom, you can either have furniture or you can have children. I laughed about that. I thought, oh my goodness. So that was their perspective on life. But you know, the one kid, it was late I guess early in the morning, late at night for me. I ended up was there all hours, 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock. I think I went home, took a nap, and came back. But the one little boy was sitting on the colored couch, and somebody, like I said, they colored all over the blanket, and he was sitting there playing his video game, just as happy as a clam, like didn't even mind that all these people were walking around him and drawing around him, and you know, just letting life happen around him. It was really fantastic. It was really fantastic. Mm-hmm.
The quiet port in the storm. I mean, it's when I first started doing some alpha state meditation, a guy who was alerting us, making us aware of this, was telling us, says, look, it doesn't matter what's going on outside of you. You can create the calm within by just taking 3 deep breaths and closing your eyes and just continuing to breathe deeply, and everything else will just fall away. And I said, really? Yeah, this is cool. Let me do this. And I started just applying it to wherever I was. I'd go to the movies with my girlfriend and our wife at the time, and we would sit and before the movie started, throughout all the hoopla, the commercials and this and that happened before the movies, trailers and stuff, I would just sit there calmly and it was so cool. I said, man, this is amazing. But you can practice that, and regardless of what's going outside, we are highly suggestive beings, as human souls. We're highly suggestive. And so we can be in a great state, and all of a sudden we see something, we're exposed to something, not of our own choosing. And that thing could be a situation, it could be an accident, could be something that happens to someone, it could be anything. And we are preconditioned to respond, to have where our perceptions are preconceived, number one, and then from indoctrination. This thing is supposed to be bad, that thing is supposed to be good, that thing's supposed to be sad, that's supposed to be joyful, you're supposed to cry when this happens, those kinds of things. And what's interesting is that when these things happen, if we have the understanding, so we're talking about this on the show, and to some of our listeners, this is going to be a wake-up call. It's going to be a moment of awareness where the curtain is pulled back, and now you realize that you don't have to respond that way, that you have the ability to choose your perceptions, and you can choose how you feel. Wow, what a concept, right? Because whatever perception you're choosing is going to lead to feelings and thoughts and responses and actions that are going to be in alignment with whatever that perception is. That's what makes perceptions, in my view, so powerful, is that just a shift of perception can, from negative to neutral or positive, can really change the way you feel that quickly.
Truly. Mm-hmm.
It's mind-blowing how fast it occurs. And the only thing preventing
anyone from creating that transformation is experiential wisdom, beliefs that they have about a situation. It's like, when someone says, how hard you believe that, or how powerfully you believe that you have to feel that emotion because somebody told you. You'll be fighting that while you're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody says you can't smile at a funeral. You can laugh and you can be joyful at a funeral because of the opportunity you had to interact and connect with that person. And you're thinking about that instead of them being gone.
Right.
So you can be joyful, you can be happy, you can celebrate, you can do all the things that other people would say, wait a minute, you can't be that way. You have to be solemn. You have to wear black. You have to stand still. You have to say nothing. You have to, show emotion when someone's talking about something about this person. No, you don't have to do that. You can choose anything you want. And when the veil is opened, when that curtain's drawn back, and you're seeing, the Wicked Witch of the West is riding a tricycle. There you go. You go, wait a minute. That's not so dangerous. That's not so negative. That's not so bad. And it changes everything. That's what I love about it. And I do this every day, all day, because we're exposed to so much stuff that you have to constantly be on top of this, right? You got to be on top of it.
Mm-hmm. Yep, 100%. I always think about the childhood story, Chicken Little. The sky is falling. The sky is falling. And here it was just an acorn that fell from the tree and hit Chicken Little in the head, and all of the things that she went around and created all this drama. But here it was just an acorn. And there was a guy, I bought his book years ago, and he goes by the name Humble the Poet, and it was all about life lessons. And he said the same thing, Michael. He said, when the SHI hit the fan when he was in his younger words, he said he would always look at the sky and say, why? And he said one of the times somebody said to him, grow up. And then he said they reminded him that the earth would keep turning and that things eventually he would feel better, and there was nothing else to do but just to do that, to grow up and realize that he was responsible for his own happiness, which is what we talked about in the 4 agreements. And I really think that that's one of the greatest gifts that we can give ourselves, is that we recognize we're responsible for our own happiness. Life is definitely not happening to us. We are part of it. Every day we get up and how we greet the day.
Right.
I got greeted by a phone call super early this morning, but it was a friend of mine, and I was happy to have a conversation. He said, oh, did I wake you up? I'm like, not a problem. It's not a problem. I'm so excited to be able to talk to you because I don't have that opportunity.
True.
And I think that when we look at that, we're all part of this universal experience, and how we shift our energy really makes a big difference. And I love being known as, well, she's the one who's always optimistic. And I think I could say the same about you, Michael. You're always optimistic. And we have to decide, what's worth our time. If I get hit on the head with an acorn, it's a big difference than getting hit on the head by a tree. But, it's like, c'est la vie. It's yesterday I had some down trees, and I just called up a guy who helps me out, and we got everything cleaned up and moved the logs, and I lost part of my fence, and I had to get the fence back up because I have dogs that'll escape and run around and cause me more grief. But you know what? It's good enough for now, and it's fine. Things could have been so much different. And I just think that that's really, and so I really am grateful that you brought this up about how to embrace that mindset, because it really does bring you more inner peace and I think even more clarity. Take that deep breath. I got that tree cut up. Now I can relax.
Exactly. And move on to the next thing. There's always going to be something. The point is how you engage with
that's something. And I love it. What you just said there, so simple. It does. We make it sound simple here, and it can be when you begin. I tell people, say, well, how do I do that? You begin applying the kind of things we're talking about on the little things, and you master that. And because when you can manage your way through the little things, then when the things you judge as being big things occur, you already have the muscle memory.
Truly. Mm-hmm.
And it's developing that muscle memory in terms of perceptions, the exercise of choosing positive perceptions over negative perceptions, and those choices that you make every day, they create the experience that you're living. And that is, so when you say, I'd love to be happy, I'd like to be happy, I wish I could be happy. Wish is not an active state, neither is hoping or anything of that nature. You are or you aren't. It's that simple. You are happy, and if you're not happy, you better figure out what belief or what perception is driving the way you feel. And I tell this to people. It was interesting because I was in Biloxi. I was at the pool. We had rented this gazebo, and I brought my mother down, and we were all hanging out together. And she doesn't swim anymore, but we were in the pool and we were talking to her. And then when we got out, we were getting ready to leave, and the young lady who'd been helping us, serving us the entire time, servicing, and she said she was 21. I said, wow, 21. Don't want to be 21 again. I love being the age I am. But I'm like, you've got your whole life in front of you. And she had mentioned that she had some, she says, you're from Panama City? Oh, yeah, my mother has a house in Panama City. She has a house here, too. But I had to leave Panama City because there's something going on with, in the family or whatever. And I'm thinking to myself, what could be, if you loved Panama City, what could it be? What could be going on with your family that would make you want to move from there back to Biloxi, where we have another house, to get away from them? And I didn't ask that question. What I did was I said, listen, here's my card to my podcast. And I said, the kind of things I talk about are taking hold of your own sovereignty, claiming it, making sure of, how to manage life, how to be happy and joyful, and how to not let other things outside of you control how you feel and what you're thinking and the way that you're responding, because that is the number one trip up most people have. They, that something happens, you respond to it, it gets out of control, and before you know it, you're sad or angry or you're a victim or whatever it is. And she was looking at me strangely, quizzically, and she said, wow, really? Going, I'll tell you, I wish I had known what I know now when I was your age at 21.
Sure.
You have before you the opportunity, and that's what I told her, is to create anything you ever want in life. You can create it, and you create it first with your mind and your feelings. And I talk about that in my podcast, and I told her about this podcast, and I said, and I gave her both cards, and I said, these will give you the tools that you need to, at this time in your life, to manage the happiness and joy and passion and excitement that you have within you, that are already there, okay? Not outside of you, they're already in you. The love that's in you, all of that. And she was like, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful. And what's interesting is, what I love is having an impact on a young mind.
That's nice. No, truly. And what's so beautiful, Michael, is that you empowered her. You basically invited her to take her power back, because so many of us allow others to disempower. We don't realize it, but we do. It's easy for us to disempower ourselves, and when we do, we really limit our ability to navigate any challenge effectively. It's like, we put it on somebody else. I mean, I am always about choosing to see a challenge as an opportunity to grow and empower myself. A lot of times I'll take things head on. I don't know how things are going to unfold, but I know that I'm okay. I know that I am divinely protected. And even though sometimes it feels like we're being tossed around, it's okay. Eventually there is always calmness. And so in any experience that we have, there is always positive and the opposite of positive. Some people like to call it negative. I like to see it as the opposite of positive. But they both hold valuable lessons for us and in our evolution. And I think that as we do come across these challenges, it builds resilience. And oftentimes, as you said to her, I wish I would have known about these things. But it's those years of experience that have led you to that profound self-discovery. And any of those past difficulties you've had, you've identified them and you've allowed them to grow. And now it's beautiful because you can share the wisdom that you've gained with other people.
Yeah.
It's absolutely fantastic.
It's true. I just opened a doorway for her. It's up to her, and I kind of told her to walk through. That's all we do on the shows. We open doorways. We open doors that give people the opportunity, give our listeners the opportunity to walk through. And if they decide to walk through it, they're on a different journey. And a journey that will continue in transformation. A lot of people, and I'm sure some of the listeners on the show, if you're new, are sitting there and thinking, wondering, do I have that much power? And, is that really true for me? Could that really be true for me? And the thing I say is, generally, you have whatever is occurring that you're investing so much negative emotion into, it's when you shift away from it's happening to me, this thing is happening to me, and I'm a victim of this thing, right? And you shift that to this thing is happening for me. It's happening for me. Mm-hmm. And it changes everything with regard to the way that you now perceive it. And no longer does it have the power and control over you that you've been giving it.
Right.
You're giving it all this power. That's what we end up doing. I'm glad you mentioned the power aspect of it, because that's what we do. We give away our power to these events. Our ability, our sovereign ability to control our minds and our bodies, we give it in our spiritual consciousness. We give it away. Mm-hmm. And it's the one thing, I'm sitting there, I said I could tell you a whole lot more. However, these are what I would suggest is that you take small bites and you of the things that resonate with you right now, right here at this time in your life. There are some things on there that I talk about that may not resonate with you until for another 10 years. Just take what you can use now to nourish yourself, to nourish yourself now, right? And implement those things, and then let the other things go. Our biggest mistake that we make is thinking that we have to do everything. You buy into. I mean, there's Wayne Dyer, there's Deepak Chopra, there's a lot of different people who have even Abraham and Bashar, and everybody's got a different way of saying a similar message. The whole all of them will tell you that, hey, look, it's this is a general message, and you have to make it specific for you by taking those things that I'm saying and implementing the ones that work with you now, based on your level of awareness now.
So
otherwise, you're going to overload yourself, right? You become overloaded, and you'll default to doing nothing. Default to nothing.
One of my favorites, Michael, was from Abraham Hicks. Everything is always working out for me. And sometimes I just will go into that mantra. Everything's always working out for me. Everything's always working out for me. Yeah. And I think that helps, for me anyway. It helps to shift my perception. And I think the energy creates and attracts a positive outcome. Everything is always working out for me. And so what if each one of you could believe that the universe has your back and that everything is always working out for you, even in the midst of storms? Those storms are guiding you towards that brighter horizon. And I think that embracing that perspective can really transform fear into trust and struggle into meaningful progress. And each one of us has that opportunity and to empower ourselves all the time.
That's so true. I love that, by the way. One of my favorites is from Bashar, that I have everything I need when I need it.
True. I love that too.
You know, and I tell myself that at least once a day. I have everything I need when I need it. I don't have to worry. I don't have to be frustrated. I don't have to concern myself with the how. I just focus on having it already. You know, that's the key to the trick. And I'm so grateful to it was Carol Collins and the teachers and her guys that actually, you know, I had a vision board that I was every day I would walk in and look at it, because I've been told, you know, see it and feel yourself in it, which is only part of it. And she said, yes, vision boards are, you know, we're way past that now. It's not about having the vision board. It's about, in that specific thing, it's about feeling and knowing and believing and expecting that you have whatever it is now. And not the thing that's that specific thing in that specific house or that specific car, you know, that specific trip that you've detailed down to the smallest minutia, right? To the smallest detail. And generally then someone comes along and goes, hey, how would you like to go to this place and experience that thing? I'll fly you first class. And you're going, well, wait a minute, hold on a second. That's not the thing I really wanted. I wanted this thing, you know? And you're going, wait a second. There's a reason why this thing is being offered to me, because I asked for it. I saw myself experiencing this joyful adventure. It's just that the mistake we make, according to Bashar, is actually, you know, sticking to that one thing, that one interpretation. It's not about that. It's not that. It's the general feeling of being there. In other words, okay, so you want to go to Hawaii. You've never been to Hawaii. So what does it feel like to be on the beach? You've been on a beach, so you have some sort of experience with it. But now you can close your eyes and you can feel yourself being on a beach in Hawaii. The warm breezes, you know, gracing your face, and the humidity, and smelling the wonderful fragrant air of pikaki and plumeria and all these beautiful flowers that grace that island. And because it's in the air, you know, where you are, you may be in a valley. Like I was in Sacramento Valley. Heck, Sacramento Valley has the fragrance of dirt, because it's a valley, and there's a lot of farming, so there's a lot of dust in the air, and so it smells like soil. Believe it or not, it's true. Get off the plane in Hawaii, it smells like soil. Get off the plane in Hawaii, it smells like pikaki and plumeria and all these really cool flowers that are so fragrant they just blow you away.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a fragrance for Pittsburgh where you are. There's a fragrance for being down here as well. Things that are natural to that particular area. I'm smelling a lot of jasmine right now. Jasmine.
Oh, how fast. Fabulous.
I walk down the street.
Intoxicating. Wow.
Yeah, it is. It's so beautiful. It's such an amazing fragrance. And,
yeah, we have the lilacs, and I feel the same way.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah, we don't have lilacs, right? You know, we've got a couple other flowers that are attempting to come to my mind at this particular point. Honeysuckle, right?
Oh, yeah, honeysuckle's beautiful.
And things like that. So, you know, the whole idea is what you were talking about. Don't fight the storm. Go with it. Don't fight the storm. Don't fight anything. Just roll with it. Just go with the flow. And I know that's a cliche in whatever language it may be, but it's just going with whatever is happening and seeing it as being something that is there for you to take advantage of. Maybe as a catalyst to understanding what you don't want. If that's it, then that's another way of seeing anything that occurs that in your life that you either happens to you directly or it's something you are exposed to indirectly. It's like, nope, don't want that, right? That's not what I prefer, not to have that in my life. And that is an amazing outcome to a positive outcome to anything that happens.
Absolutely. I was going to say, it's sort of like a muscle. Whenever you start to work out, you at the gym for the first time in the season, you're going to be a little stiff. Things aren't going to flow as easily. Anytime you start to adapt a new practice, you have to find out what works for you and what resonates with you. I mean, Michael and I offer lots of suggestions here on Connect to Love, and we found what works for us. But I think that whatever you find for yourself and you consciously cultivate those habits, you will in time become more resilient and better equipped to navigate life's twists and turns, whatever they are. And you can be like that bamboo, like that flexible bamboo, and you go, yeah, saw that, been there, done that, not excited about it. The little acorn falling from the tree on my head. No, I already know the outcome of that and choose to go a different path.
Yeah. So I want to take a moment to talk about health situations too, because we can't leave those out. People are experiencing health issues here in the United States. People are experiencing health issues that would probably occur in your 50s and 60s, but now it's in the early 20s, and it's in the early 30s, and sometimes even earlier than that. Diabetes, type 2 diabetes, and other things that are occurring, heart issues. And, these are wake-up calls, in my view. They're wake-up calls. One of the reasons why you're experiencing them is to your body telling you that something needs to change. It's we focus, the medicine focuses on the Band-Aid that can stop the pain. You tell them, it hurts there. Okay, great, take this and it won't hurt there anymore. That doesn't solve the problem. It doesn't lead to transformation or evolution. It's just basically you don't feel that anymore, so what the heck, it's gone, right? Having back problems in the late 80s, early 90s, I can tell you, serious herniated disc, I look at people now and go, yeah, all it's a thing of the past. That's old news. That's a chapter in my life that's been closed and blown away, disintegrated into dust and blown away. That's not the person I am. But I understood back then, I learned that the lower back is the power center. So when you're having lower back issues, one of the main things that you want to look at is, what are you giving your power away to? And interestingly enough, I've run into so many people with back issues, it's insane. Everybody's got a back issue. I ask, what are you giving your power away to?
Yeah. But Michael, I'm sure if you look back on that time in your life when you were experiencing that, and it made a lot of things, when you're in pain, it makes even very simple things that you do in day to day more challenging. Oh yeah. And so you I'm sure you went the medical route, you went a lot of different routes, and then you find the path that worked best for you. And I know that you still practice Tai Chi as well as other modalities you learned, and what you learned from that experience, you've taken that wisdom and shared it with other people. You see somebody who's suffering. You have empathy. So that experience, although it was painful, it allows you to be very empathetic towards individuals that are experiencing something similar. As is in caring for your mother. There were times, I'm sure you recall, when you were a little kid and you skinned your knee and your mother cared for you, or any type of a challenge, whether it be cold, flu, whatever. She was there to care for you. And now you have the opportunity to share that and give back. It's just beautiful.
It's awesome. Well, listen, I want to simply say this. This is a conversation that we definitely at some point need to carry on. I think we've gone over at this particular point, but in this, because it's got such depth. But I want to say thank you to the PRN FM listeners and those people listening to our podcast wherever you are in the world, and thank you so much for doing so. I do.
Absolutely. And until next time, thank you.